Hello, welcome to Own Your Power online conference. I am very excited that you're here with us today. I have a very special, amazing, powerful woman that I would love to introduce to you. My name is Brenda Miranda. I am the founder of Miranda Coaching and Consulting. I'm on a mission to be able to empower women to own their power so that they can step into it and fully own all of who they are so that they can be the greatest version of themselves. Today, I have with you Lenise McGee. She is a powerhouse woman and she is the founder of Big, Beautiful, and Blessed. And she is just dedicates herself and has such a passion to empower women to be confident in their body, in their image, and just to be able to fully embody all of who they are. So, Lenise, I would like for you to be able to tell us more about yourself, your personal story, and how is it that you're just empowering women to own their power?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Brenda. And I just want to say hello to everyone and just mention that I am the other half of Big, Beautiful, and Blessed. I'm the co-founder, and Shamillian Bowman is the founder. We collaborate to make the beautiful Big, Beautiful, and Blessed. Together, we have been working with these women for 7 years now, and it all started back when we went to a women empowerment event. Me and Shamillian, we've been friends since middle school, and she's very shy, and I always go to these women empowerment events, and I said, why don't you come to this women empowerment event with me? And so she said, okay. And so we were at this event, and the speaker of that event had asked us to close our eyes and said, what would you do if you could do anything? And we closed our eyes and we did that. And so at the end, she said, like, well, what would you do and things of that nature? And so I had asked my friend, I said, well, what did you dream of? What would you want to do? And she said, I always wanted to be in a calendar. And I said, well, why didn't you do that? And she said, well, I was told couldn't. And I said, what? She was like, I tried before. And I said, really? And I said, what happened? She said, well, this guy said I was pretty, but I was too fat. And I'm going to tell you, that burnt me up. I mean, I was angry. I was really angry. I was so angry that somebody said that. And what made me even more angry was I asked, I said, really, how long ago was that? And when I tell you, it was years ago, but I could still hear the hurt in my friend's voice. Like this, she still carried this. And I said, really? And I knew right then, we was going to change that story.
Empowered women, right? You create a
Yes.
pathway that is not created. We create it for ourselves, which is awesome. Yes.
Right. And so little did she know, I had been in a plus size calendar model before, and I had did a fundraiser for, now I didn't know, like, things in our life happen for reasons. And so prior to that, I was in a plus size model calendar, and I had did a fundraiser for my job selling calendars. So I had some experience with this. And so I went home and I reached out to a photographer that I knew. I created a logo because I, knew how to do some things on the computer and all that. And I posted on Facebook, did a model call, and I called her. I said, we're starting a business. She's like, what? I said, you're about to be in the calendar, and so some other women. And so that was the birthing of Being Beautiful and Blessed. So it started from one woman empowerment event, and it really was birthed from me, being with my friend and seeing that someone thought that they were going to stop something from happening, and her life was shifting. I didn't even know the impact that, you know, her pain of her going through, how many other women, and even myself, although that was not my story, just things that I had been through, and being able to empower so many other women through this organization that we formed, how it was going to be so transformational for so many women. Like that day shift my entire life. And so you just never know what's going to happen. You know what? I apologize. I don't know if I answered your question. Just got to share with how the business started.
That's awesome, because I think, you know, we all start with a personal story.
Yes.
Right? Like it does. It takes for us to truly feel sometimes the pain and the hurt,
Yeah.
to actually start doing be a part of the solution.
Right. Right.
And so, right, it started with one personal story,
Mm-hmm.
but what I'm hearing from you is like now you've been able to do this with so many women, because there were so many other women that were able to relate to that story.
Right. And that's what we ended up doing. And so we started this off, and it originally was just starting as a calendar, and in the calendar, the women were able to share their stories of something that they overcame, because I was like, well, you know, you're going to share your story of now how someone, you know, you're overcoming this. They said that you could never be a model. And we, the very first one, rented this place that held over 300 people, sold out, standing room only.
Wow.
You're not only a model, you know, you're a printed model, you're a fashion model, you're an owner that is empowering other women to do the same thing. And it's not even about him anymore. You know, this is not even about, this is bigger than him. You know, you are owning, she's owning her voice. And now we're helping other women too. And then what ended up happening was like, women were sharing, like, I'm sharing stories that I haven't even shared with my family yet. And they started becoming free through sharing their stories in this calendar. And then we were getting inboxes from other women that were becoming free from reading the stories, and like, oh, you're helping youth. And it's just like, we didn't even know that we were going to be doing this, you know? And so it just became so much more. And we didn't originally, how we ended up adding the fashion part, where we had runway models, because we had so many women come, and in the calendar it's only 12 months. We didn't want to turn the women away, so we were like, well, what else are we going to do? So there was a lady there that came to the audition that knew how. I didn't know anything about modeling. To find out, she was a fashion coach. She's been with us since we started. And he was showing the women how to walk. And we were like, well, will you come and be like part of our team? And so we added, so it just all started unfolding. So then we added the runway modeling part, so that we could add more women to be part of the organization. And so that's how it started, and we formulated. And then I always have to say, the year before COVID is when we started actually expanding to have women outside of our city. So we had to figure out how to, you know, make that happen. And so it's just been growing ever since then. And it's just amazing. And I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, I just love that. I really do, because the leap of faith that it took from you to like have had such a, I guess you would say, calling, or I'm hearing you, it's like your purpose, and you listened to that. And it wasn't like, I'm sure there was fears, right? Which is normal when you're doing something new and you don't know how that's going to be like, but that you listened to that calling and you went for it. And it just happened from believing and trusting in your vision and owning your power and saying like, hey, what I want matters, and creating this difference. And it's just such amazing to hear that was what you were able to do. So like, if there's women listening in and they have this like desire within their heart, and they just get like that inkling, like calling, I guess you would say, for some people, but there may be some fears. What would it be like, some like advice that you would let them know?
I would say that it's normal. So if if you're having fear, don't look for the answer to be like, oh, I need to become fearless. No, I would say the answer is to fear less. Okay. And how do you fear less? By doing. How do you overcome your doubts? By action. And so that is really the only answer, because you're going to have fears. And so sometimes, not sometimes, I have them. And the only way that I address them is by doing. And even in the doing, I still have the fear. It doesn't just disappear. And by doing it, a lot of times I realized that my fear was way bigger than the reality. And so that's the beauty of it, because I'm like, wow, my fear was really a lie. So I'm glad that I went forth. And then what I realized too is that I have more people cheering for me, and I have more help, and I have more things that can be extended for me when I actually move forward. But if I allow my fear to outweigh my capability, then I will never know, and you'll never know. And then I'd rather live with the risk than live with the regret. Oh, I really believe that.
Yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm. Yes. And it's so interesting because from all the other experts and that I've been interviewing, there's something very common, and what that is our support system. Mm-hmm. Like we cannot, when you want to be able to be empowered and own your power, I know it's yours, but I really do believe that it enhances when you have other people around.
Yeah.
That believe in you when you don't believe in you. That when you're afraid, they lift you up. And it's such a powerful to be able to hear the importance that it is to be able to have a community that uplift you. And I think that sometimes women particularly, we may want to do it all alone, or may not be as vulnerable to say, oh, I need some help, I need some support. Or may have some shame around having to admit that they may have some body image problems or self-esteem problems. So I think that's very key. So thank you so much for bringing that up, because I think that's very important for the listeners to hear, that we don't create our vision and our purpose alone. It takes a powerhouse of women and other people for us to be able to collaborate and come together to be able to do that. So it's amazing. Another thing too, like, what are some struggles that you see women have when it comes to like their body image and maybe like sensuality and just truly owning of all of who they are?
Oh, most definitely the comparing. Living in this lane that it has to be like someone else's, living in a lane of not enough, and whatever that is. And so I think that's the biggest thing. And it's just like never being satisfied with their now, always looking for the later. And so I think that once we get over the getting ready for the next and being okay with the now, then we're ready. That's when you're ready. When I'm okay with, you know what? Yes, I'm going to work. I'm going to be healthy, whatever that is. I'm going to work towards being more healthy if that's what you need to do. Or I'm going to work towards whatever it is that you're working towards. I don't know. Because it's okay. We should have goals in life, whatever your goals is. It's great to have goals. But in the meantime, while I'm working towards whatever my goals are, I have to celebrate my now. I have to be okay with my now and live in that and enjoy that journey, because guess what? That's the only journey I have. That's the only journey I have right now is this. So I'm going to miss out on that if I'm so worried about comparing my journey to someone else's, or wanting to be in somebody else's journey, or wishing that I was in someone else's journey. I'm missing on the gift of the now. And so I think that's the biggest thing that, I see and I notice when it comes to particularly women is that comparison thing. And it's just like, oh, we really, we miss the gift of our own beauty. We miss the gift of our own uniqueness. We miss the gift of the me. Because there's so much uniqueness and beauty in that.
Oh, well, thank you so much for reminding us of that,
Mm-hmm.
that we are good enough. And that doesn't mean that we can't strive to be greater, but in this moment right here, right now, we are good enough.
Right.
I know there's a huge part of feeling unworthy. And I know that this is something that you brought up, right? Like for us to own our power as women and to know that we are worthy of what we want and we get to use our voice to be able to speak up and ask for what we want. So for you, like what would you say why some women may feel like they're not worthy of accomplishing or just being happy in the present moment?
I think for everyone it's different. And I think that what we have to do is learn why we sabotage ourselves. Really look at the patterns and learn that, and learn what voices, who has the loudest voice that you're answering to. And then why is that? So I can speak from my own experience of where my unworthiness came from and why I felt unworthy. I mean, I created a whole poem for it, you know. And my seed of rejection, where does that seed come from? And why do I keep planting it, watering it, and going back and plucking it? You know, what is that about? And so until we do that, we're going to keep going back to it. But everybody has different reasons. And I know for me, I had a lot of childhood trauma, you know, that I dealt with. And so what I didn't realize until I really got older is that I kept searching for men that were similar to characteristics of men from my childhood. And so it was me almost trying to fix a part of me that I wanted to heal. And that was not going to heal that, you know? And so that was my way of sabotaging myself and my future. And I didn't even realize that I was doing that. And so it's really taking that time to look at yourself. Well, why do you think you're unworthy? What is that about? Who are you answering to? Who are you trying to prove yourself to? And so it's just like me trying to find like, okay, if I can prove myself to a man that's similar to the abuse that I suffered with as a child. So if I can find a man similar to that and I can get his approval, then that can get the approval from back when I was a child. Am I making sense there?
Absolutely.
And so until I could really figure all of that out, get that clear, like it's not, you can't do that. That's not good. And so once I understand, there was so much freedom and really understanding what I was doing. Ooh, there's freedom. And so what area are you sabotaging yourself in? What areas are you trying to fix that? No, I need to release that, you know. No, I need to move forward, release so that I can, you know what, love myself. I'm enough. I deserve to be happy, free, have joy, love, and peace that I want to give. I also deserve.
100%. Right. And as it's true for you, it's true for everyone else.
Yes.
And so I think the thing is like we are not our past.
No.
We're not. And so we're not also all the thoughts we think about.
Right.
And so we have the power within to be able to decide to be able to tap into their truth of who we really are. Right. And I think that, yeah, it does take some practice. It does take personal awareness. It does take possibly like reaching out to people for support to help you with how to be able to rewire your brain and your
Mhm.
mind so that you start operating from your truth instead from your past or that voice, like you were saying, that's not even yours.
Right. Mhm.
Um, and so I just love the work that you do because I think that our body, it's so connected
Mhm.
to our emotions and to our thoughts, and it's a very intimate part of who we are. And so the work that you do with Big, Beautiful, and Blessed
Mhm.
is that you're saying, like, we're going to own all of who we are because we're all blessed. And that's our
Yeah.
gift. And that's our unique
Mhm.
gift.
Right.
So just thank you so much for doing that. And I think that there's just like so much power when
Mhm.
women, when we can, because like you mentioned, the power is not just in our mind. When we
Mhm.
actually can like transcend it to our body, we're using all of our power source.
Yes. Definitely.
It's just phenomenal. Um, so what would you say if there are women that want to connect with their empowerment of like their beauty and their power? What are three things they can do to maybe like tap into their sensuality or being able to connect more with the truth of who they are?
I always say one thing you have to do is, and this may seem really simple, but look at yourself in the mirror.
Hmm.
Start looking at yourself in the mirror and start embracing that beauty. Practice saying, I love myself. Practice saying words of affirmation, adornment to yourself while looking at yourself. That's the first practice. Taking deep breaths, start to date yourself, enjoying your own company. That's the second tip. So, first tip, looking at yourself, loving yourself. Second tip, dating yourself, basically just enjoying your own company. It's important to know what you like. It's important to know what you enjoy. It's important to know like what you like to do. And then thirdly, mind the company that you spend your time with. It's so important that you are intentional about who your time is too important, and who you choose and decide to allow in your space is your decision. And it's too costly to allow anything that is negative and not worthy of your space in your space. So those are the
Yeah,
three
and
tips.
those are very powerful tools. I know you may say simple, but and sometimes the most simple thing to do is the most powerful thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that a lot of women have a hard time looking in the mirror.
Yes.
And of course, there's valid reasons why.
Yes, there is. That's why I'm like, you may think like looking in the mirror, you might hear like looking in the mirror. Really? Seriously, it can really shift your entire life. Do it like religiously, do it.
I think, yeah, and I think like you mentioned before, is that of course it may be uncomfortable if you're not, if you haven't done it before. And there
Yeah.
may be fears around that. You may not like
Right.
it, but it's in doing that consistently that leads you to feeling more comfortable
Right.
and then taking action and making decisions that are aligned
Mhm.
with what you truly desire. But it first comes with awareness and acceptance.
And another
So
thing is when you're doing it and you're uncomfortable with it, right, at first, but once you start doing it and you're comfortable with it, then when someone comes and tells you you're beautiful, it's not, how some people will not accept a compliment. You don't feel uncomfortable accepting compliments now, right?
right.
You can accept a compliment now. Or when someone gives you a compliment, then guess what? And they're on something that's not, up to par, you can politely tell them where to go to, right? Because I don't need your compliment. I can give them to myself. So it can work both ways.
Absolutely. And I think that that's where it's that being worthy. And
Mm-hmm.
like you mentioned, it's up
Yes.
to us what we tolerate and what we don't.
Right. Yes.
So it's do we use our voice?
Very,
And so
very true.
the way we treat ourselves, it's
Mm-hmm.
how we're gonna allow other people to treat us.
That's
And so
very true.
I think that's a very like great point that you make.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so beautiful to be able to own our power
Mm-hmm.
and really step into whom we were created to be. And I do have a last question to ask you that
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking all the other speakers on our panel is what
Mm-hmm.
does it mean to you to own your personal power?
Oh, so this is a oh my goodness. So growing up, um, like if you would have known me growing up, I really did not talk. I was raised in a very abusive home. I seen things that a young kid should not see. Okay, and so to be one, like I said, speaking to women, empowering women, sharing my story, I would have never, ever, ever thought that I would be here. Like I never thought I was worthy. I never thought I was worthy. I'm sorry.
And
So
don't apologize.
it
This is
gives me
true.
just gives me so I'm just grateful and I'm always honored that one day I decided to love myself enough to say yes to me and just to take my own life back into my hands, and that's what it means, like saying yes to myself and being okay with it. So to own my own voice, to be okay with saying yes, to be okay with saying no, just to own me. And it's nothing like it. And so my desire is that every woman that's hearing this, if she is hearing this and she feels like she doesn't own her voice, that she will take the steps every single day, no matter what she has to do to get to that space where she feels that she has that right, because you do. You do. And you're worth it. It's nothing like it.
Mhm.
So that's what it means to me. Thank you for that question.
You're very welcome. I know that thank you for sharing. It's
Mhm.
vulnerability, but there's power in vulnerability.
Mhm.
And when you share your story, it's an opportunity for other women to allow themselves to also be vulnerable. And so thank you so much for all that you're doing with your work and empowering
Mhm.
women to fully just accept all of who they are in all sizes, in all colors.
Mhm. Yes.
And because at the end of the day, we're all one.
Mhm.
We're all connected in some
Yes.
way. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I know that you have a free gift
Oh
that you would
yes.
like to be able to provide the people in the audience. So just go ahead and tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So I am all about people stepping into their purpose and living life to the fullest. And so I have a free download for you all, and it's called 7 Day. It's a 7 day journal. So if you are interested in that, all you have to do is click the link for the 7 day journal, and it'll help you kind of guide you, for 7 days so you can go ahead and get ready to start on your purpose journey. All of us love, 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 love to just open the gates to making sure that we are walking and we are headed towards that which we feel that we are purposed to do. So thank you for allowing me to share that with the audience today.
No, absolutely. Thank you for being very generous
Mhm.
and for you to be able to share that with us. I really appreciate it. So thank you so much. This is an
Thank
awesome,
you.
awesome conversation and very empowering.
Yes. Thank you.
And it just brought up a whole lot of different emotions, and I love it because that's
Yes.
that's who we are as women. Right? We get to embrace
Mhm.
all of who we are. And so you definitely want to be able to tune in because there are still other amazing powerhouse women and men who are sharing with you their story so that you can own your power and live this extraordinary life. So I'll see you next time. Thank you.
Bye.